What we're looking at here isn't just some ancient text. It's really the record of one of history's most epic quests. It's a hero's journey. But the prize isn't a kingdom or a pile of treasure. It's the answer to a question that has haunted pretty much every human who's ever lived. Yeah, that one. Why is there suffering? It's a question we've all asked ourselves, probably more than once. It's a reality we've all felt. It's kind of the fundamental problem of being alive, isn't it? And for most of history, it just seemed like a question with no real answer. But this is about one person who just refused to accept that suffering was a permanent part of the deal. He set out on this incredible quest to find its root cause, not just for himself, but for every single one of us. So let's dive into the story of that search. And here's the thing that's so fascinating. This whole quest, it didn't even begin with the prince that we've all heard about. According to this text, the very first step was actually taken countless ages ago, in a completely different lifetime.
Okay, so meet Sumedha. He was an ascetic, a hermit who had given up all worldly stuff to find a deeper truth. And as he looked out at the world, he didn't just see individual people having a hard time. He saw this huge, repeating pattern. Beings were born, they suffered, they died, only to be reborn and do it all over again. He saw this endless, brutal loop, and he felt this just overwhelming compassion and this powerful urge to find a way out for everybody.
And that feeling led to an absolutely incredible vow. I mean, this was not a small ambition. He didn't just want to save himself. He vowed to find a way to save everyone from this sea of existence. This one single promise set in motion a destiny that was going to stretch across lifetimes. So one day, a Buddha from that ancient time, a fully enlightened being, was about to walk across a muddy path. And in this moment of just profound reverence, Sumedha did something extraordinary. He literally laid his body down in the mud and spread his long hair over it, creating a human bridge so that the Buddha could pass without getting his feet dirty. And this incredible act of devotion, well, it had an equally incredible consequence. The Buddha stopped and gave him a prophecy. He said that eons and eons in the future, Sumedha himself would be reborn. He would achieve perfect enlightenment, and he would become a Buddha, an awakened one named Shakyamuni, whose purpose would be to awaken the world. The stage was officially set. So fast forward eons, and that prophecy starts to unfold. Sumedha is reborn for his final life, this time as a prince named Siddhartha. But his destiny can only really kick in once he sees the world for what it truly is, which means he has to get beyond the palace walls. See, his father, the king, knew all about the prophecy and was absolutely terrified his son would leave him. So what did he do? He basically built him a gilded cage. He created a world of perfect pleasure. Siddhartha was surrounded by nothing but youth, health, and luxury, completely shielded from anything sad, ugly, or unpleasant. But you can't keep reality out forever, right? On his first trip outside the palace, he saw an old man. Now imagine this. It was the first time in his entire life he had ever seen such frailty. He turns to his charioteer and asks, "What is that?" And the answer just shatters his perfect world. That is old age. It comes for everyone, including, he realized, him. On his next trip out, he saw a sick person, someone suffering and in real pain. And again, he was just floored. He learned that health wasn't permanent, that your body could be completely wrecked by disease at any moment. The perfect little bubble his father had built was definitely popping. And then came the third sight, the one that really changed everything. He saw a funeral procession, and they were carrying a dead body. For the very first time, he was forced to face the ultimate, unavoidable truth. Life ends. All the wealth, all the power, all the happiness, none of it matters. Death is the final stop for every single person. So after these three visions of total despair, he sees a fourth sight, a wandering monk. And this man had absolutely nothing, but he just radiated this deep, unshakable peace. And in that moment, Siddhartha realized something huge. If there was a way into all this suffering through aging, sickness, and death, well then maybe, just maybe, there was also a way out. That fourth sight lit a fire under him. The problem of suffering wasn't some abstract idea anymore. It was an urgent, personal crisis.
He knew he couldn't just sit around in the palace. His real quest had to begin now, and it was going to demand a sacrifice that is almost impossible to imagine. I mean, really think about this choice. On one side, you have literally everything a person could ever want: wealth, status, a loving family, a whole kingdom to rule one day. And on the other side, the complete unknown, a homeless life, searching for a truth that might not even be real, all to solve this giant problem of suffering for every being. That very night, he made his choice. He looked at his sleeping wife and his newborn son one last time, walked out of the palace, and made this powerful vow. He was all in. There was absolutely no turning back until he had the answer.
So his search begins for real. He studies with all the most famous spiritual teachers of his time. He masters all their techniques, but nope, none of them had the ultimate answer he was looking for. So he decided to go it alone, determined to push his own body and mind to their absolute limits. He did this for 6 years. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. 6 years of the most extreme self-denial you can imagine, all because he believed that by conquering his body, he could somehow free his mind. The old texts are pretty graphic about this time in his life. He was eating as little as a single grain of rice a day, until his body just wasted away to nothing but skin and bones. He was literally on the verge of death, but enlightenment, it was still nowhere in sight.
And this was the moment of his big breakthrough. As he's collapsing from weakness, it finally clicks. Torturing your body doesn't create clarity. A weak body just leads to a weak, cloudy mind. He had tried the extreme of pleasure in the palace, and now the extreme of pain in the forest, and neither of them worked. The true path, he realized, had to be somewhere in the middle.
A young woman saw him and offered him a simple bowl of milk rice, and he accepted it. That one simple act of nourishment brought his strength back, and with it, his mind became clear and powerful again. He had just discovered what he later called the middle way, a path of balance, not indulgence, not denial, but clarity. He was finally ready for the last step. So with a nourished body and a sharp, clear mind, he walked over to a large Bodhi tree. He sat down beneath it and made one final, unbreakable vow. He would not get up from that spot until he had uncovered the ultimate truth and solved the problem of suffering once and for all. His entire journey, that ancient prophecy, the shocking discovery of reality, the great sacrifice, and all those years of struggle, it all led to this single moment of absolute resolve. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What does it really take to find the answers to our own big questions? What kind of commitment does it take to truly change ourselves and maybe, just maybe, even change the world?